Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the XPEDIATOR PLC Annual General Meeting. Throughout this meeting, attendees will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. These will be available via your Investor Meet Company dashboard, and we'll notify you when they're ready for your review. I'd also like to remind you that this meeting is being recorded. I'd now like to hand over to Alex Borelli, Non-Executive Chairman of Expedia. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's now just after 11 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2021 AGM of XPEDIATOR PLC. We're holding this meeting by conference call and for questions, as the circumstances with COVID require us to limit attendance in order to respect the government's recommendations on social distancing and for the avoidance of any public gatherings. We will have the process of the meeting followed by some questions and answers, hopefully from us. So we have a quorum present. We have 2 shareholders at least in the room, and we have 4 of us directors who are also present. I'd like to introduce ourselves. You have my introduction ready, Alex Borelli, Non-Executive Chairman. On my left, we have Robert Ross, who's Chief Executive of the company. On my right, out of screen, is Mike Williamson, CFO, who joined the company as a director with effect from the 1st of March this year. Stephen Blythe is also in the room with us, who is the founder of the company and non-executive deputy chairman. And on the conference call facility, we have our 3 other directors, Robert Riddleston, Charles McGurran, and Wim Powells. Thank you for joining us for today's call. I'd like to start the formal proceedings of this annual general meeting, and the notice of meeting was sent to you with the explanatory notes to all shareholders on the 12th of May. Accordingly, the requisite notice of meeting has been given, and I propose with your consent the notice of meeting should be taken as read. Importantly for the company, we gave an update to the stock market this morning, and I'd like to read out for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to see the statement on the screen, a few paragraphs that we announced today. Demand for the group's services across all 3 divisions has been strong, with those parts of the transport and logistics and warehousing divisions that were impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic now all trading positively. As with many logistics businesses, trading at Xpediator is seasonal, with the majority of profit made in the second half of the year. That said, given current positive trading trends, the board believes the business is well placed to exceed market forecasts for the financial year ending 31st December 2021. Xpediator's financial performance as a whole, which was not impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Where trading was reduced in some areas, other parts of the business is outperformed. In particular, the freight forwarding division. This division continues to perform well with demand consistent with expected trading patterns. European freight forwarding and logistics has continued to perform strongly alongside Affinity Transport Services, which are both delivering like-for-like sales increases, particularly against those months in 2020, which were impacted by COVID-19. The Palex business in Romania has performed particularly well, with a record number of pallets handled during the first quarter of 2021. The group has benefited profitably as expected from Brexit, while cross-channel freight forwarding volumes have been lower, reflecting the decisions by some clients to find alternative sourcing arrangements than the UK. The additional paperwork associated with the new custom control processes has led to additional revenue, and the net result has been positive for the group. The program to rebrand and integrate key areas of the group has progressed significantly. In the UK, the business is now largely operating under the Delamode International Logistics brand, and those businesses which are not looking to incorporate this brand within their trading name. As importantly, the individual divisions are now well advanced in unifying all their operating companies under single IT and single finance platforms. The group's fashion logistics business, which came under significant pressure as a result of COVID-19, is working to reposition itself to focus on the luxury end of the fashion market. A strong sales pipeline, including some of the world's best-known fashion brands, indicate this business is moving in the right direction, although this is subject to the continued reopening of the UK High Street. Today, the group is also pleased to announce, as part of its focus on port-centric warehousing and logistics in the UK, the completion of a new purpose-built 200,000 square foot facility at Southampton's container port. The new space will not only increase capacity, but it is expected to be more efficient and margin enhancing. And Rob Ross, the CEO, noted the following.
We believe the actions we are taking across the business are bringing the group closer together, resulting in individual teams working together better and utilising a more efficient and scalable base, all of which support our objective of becoming a leading international freight management and logistics provider. While the majority of the group's profit is earned in the second half of the financial year, we've made a strong start to 2021, which positions us well for the full year and beyond.
Thank you, Rob. We asked, as a result of social distancing measures and COVID, etc., we asked shareholders to submit their proxy votes in advance of this meeting, and we're grateful for your participation. We have all the votes recorded by proxy now, and I will read those out in relation to each resolution. There are 8 resolutions that we go through. Resolutions 1 to 6 are proposed as ordinary resolutions, which require a simple majority. So resolutions 7 and 8, and I will tell you what those represent, require a majority of 75% in favour to pass the resolution. So the votes, as I say, have been conducted and received by the registrars, and the polling closed 11 o'clock on the 4th of June. I'd like to move to Resolution 1. Resolution 1, ordinary resolution, is to receive the annual report and accounts for the year ended 31 December 2020. We received, including the discretionary votes in place, a total of 105,306,853 votes in favour, none against, 2,381 votes were withheld, and that was a nigh on 100% approval for that resolution. So that resolution is carried. But thank you to you all. Resolution 2 is to receive the Directors' Remuneration Report, which is within the annual report for the year ended 31 December 2020. We had, including the votes, discretionary votes, we had a total of 80,530,254 votes in favour, 1,864,879 votes against, and 22,914,101 against. That represented a total of 76.47 votes in favour of that resolution. So I declare Resolution 2 carried with thanks. Resolution 3, an ordinary resolution again, concerns the re-election of Michael Williamson, who joined us as CFO, as I noted, starting with effect from the 1st of March this year. He retires in accordance with the articles and has to put himself up for re-election. So we had, in terms of voting, including the discretionary votes, a total of 105,293,807 in favour, 6,221 against, and 9,206 votes were withheld. So that represents a majority of nigh on 100% again. And I'm delighted to welcome Michael Williamson to the board as a continued member, as a director. Michael, perhaps you could just show your face on the screen as this is recorded. Thank you for joining the board. This is Michael Williamson.
Thank you.
Resolution 4, ordinary resolution, concerns the reappointment of Crowe UK LLP as auditors and to authorise the audit committee to fix their remuneration, another standard resolution that's proposed. Taking the votes that were received by the proxies, including the discretionary votes, we had 105,306,853 in favour, none were against, and 2,381 votes were withheld. Again, that's a nigh on 100% voting position, so I declare Resolution 4 carried. Resolution 5 is an ordinary resolution again. It's the payment of a final dividend of 1 penny, 1.05p in total, in respect of the year ended 31 December 2020 to shareholders on the register on the 18th of June, and that is to be paid on the 6th of July 2021. There was a change in the dates there that was announced subsequently to the announcement of the dividend at the time. That ordinary resolution, and in total we had 105,307,853 in favour, none against, 1,381 votes were withheld. So again, that is nigh on 100% in favour of that. So I declare resolution 5 carried, and you will be paid the dividend as noted on the 6th of July 2021. Resolution 6 is the general authority to issue shares. We cannot issue any shares unless authorised by shareholders to do so. This resolution is within the best practice limits set by the Investment Association, and it represents 2/3 of the current issued ordinary share capital, and it only applies to the issue of shares on a pro rata basis to shareholders. I'm pleased to take any questions on that later, but it's an ordinary resolution, and in favour, the votes recorded are 103,519,411 in favour, 1,780,617 against, 9,206 votes were withheld. So that's about 98%, and I declare that resolution carried. As noted at the outset, resolution 7 is a special resolution which requires 75% majority. It is about the disapplication of the preemption rights. So it enables the board, in compliance with the rules and obviously board approval, to issue shares on a non-preemptive basis for a number of specified reasons that are subject to announcement at the time. So it's authority that will last until the next AGM. So resolution 7, special resolution, the votes in favour amounted to 93,260,797 in favour, 12,039,231 against, and 9,206 votes were withheld. That's just over 88% of votes in favour of that, which exceeds a 75% level, and therefore I declare resolution 7 carried with thanks. The final resolution is resolution 8, a special resolution again, and it gives the company the authority to purchase up to 10% of the current issued share capital in the market within certain parameters. The minimum share price is par, and it's up to a maximum of 105% of a 5-day market average. So with about 141 million shares in issue, this gives the authority over the purchase of 14,163,318 shares. And again, it's an authority that lasts up to the next annual general meeting. Any shares bought are cancelled, they're not held in Treasury. So a special resolution, and the votes in favour in total, including those discretionary held by myself or Mr. Blythe, amount to 103,536,932 in favour, 1,770,921 against, and 1,381 were withheld, and that is a percentage of about 98% of votes in favour. So as a special resolution, that exceeds the 75%, so I declare that resolution carried. So ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of the meeting. And before we get on to Q&A, thank you very much for your interest in the company, and we welcome shareholders to communicate with us, and we look forward to seeing you, hopefully physically, at next year's AGM. What I've read out today in terms of the voting will be announced on the Regulatory News Service later today. So I'll wrap up at the end, but I'd now like to pass over to Robert Ross, who will go through some of the questions that we've received.
Thank you, Alex. So we've received a few questions, and I'll just read out either all the question or some of them, depending on the length. So the first question is from a representative of Share Action, just asking about potential concerns on dependency of agency labour and the use of independent contractors globally. The question also asks whether we'd be prepared to meet with Share Action and investors to discuss this issue further. Just to answer that part of the question first, we're more than happy to meet with Share Action to talk about our sort of non-standard contract type staff. That discussion would be with myself and our group HR director, Charlotte Bennett. To answer the first part of the question, so in terms of our workforce that's classified as non-standard, that's around 10.8% of our total workforce population. They're either contractors or temporary workers. Contractors are often paid more than someone doing an equivalent job who is a permanent employee because of the fixed term nature of that contract. And all of our temporary staff are employed or recruited via an agency and go through a thorough onboarding process to meet the legislative requirements in each country that they are employed in. I'll say happy to have a further discussion with Share Action on that point. The next question, and this was pre-submitted along with the next one as well, is the company finding opportunities regarding companies needing help with the documentation when delivering goods to the UK from the continent since Brexit, for example, selling software to them? And if so, do you expect this to continue? As we said in the announcement this morning, we are definitely seeing a positive impact from Brexit. That has added additional profitability to the business, and we expect that to continue on a sort of reasonably permanent basis. Where is Xpediator finding the most interest from clients for their products, and where do they see opportunities? So growth remains very positive within the group. We talked about double-digit organic growth being a target for us this year, which we are seeing across the various parts of the business. The strongest growth is certainly coming from Central and Eastern Europe, and demand for our products and services remain very strong there. As mentioned in the statements, from a UK perspective, our warehousing business is performing reasonably well, particularly in Southampton. And from a freight forwarding perspective, volumes are a little bit lower than we'd seen previously, but offset by the benefits of the customs clearance business. A question from Rob B. Congratulations to the whole team on a great 2020, particularly given the challenges of COVID. There was a lot of talk of higher freight rates and driver shortages in the industry. How does Xpediator protect itself against these cost headwinds? So in terms of freight rates, generally those will just end up being passed on to customers. So for sea freight, for example, we are facilitating bringing the product from wherever it is to the UK or to Europe. We'll base our profitability just on a margin added to the freight rates. So those, as I say, those are generally passed on to customers. From a driver shortage perspective, we don't have a large number of vehicles, so most of our traction, so our trucks and trailers, is subcontracted. So whilst there are potentially driver shortages for those subcontractors, it's an indirect issue for us. The way we really get around that is making sure that we treat those subcontractors well. We pay them on time. We are looking to pay them a fair rate as well for their traction, and really make sure that we stay on top and stay with a positive relationship with those subcontractors to make sure we have the traction that we need whenever it is required. And then the final question from Mazin S. Are you actively looking for more M&A opportunities? Yes, the company, when it listed on a buy and build strategy. We continue to look at M&A opportunities. We have the newly formed M&A committee this year, which is meeting on a monthly basis and discussing various opportunities. We're looking at opportunities within the UK and also Central and Eastern Europe, to add either additional services to existing markets or additional markets to our portfolio. So yes, definitely looking for more M&A opportunities.
Okay, thank you, Rob. That concludes today's annual general meeting and questions and answers. We have an excellent team in place, and I wish you all excellent health. Thank you for attending by conference call.
That's very, very kind. Thank you very much indeed. Could I please ask attendees not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the company can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the board of XPEDIATOR PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's meeting. That now concludes the session, and good morning to you all.